Okay,
Ah,
I have to do it.
yes.
yes, you better be.
We have Tom, Miss Bukes, and Steve. Okay, right?
Pat, yeah. All right, let's call this meeting to order, the building committee, March 7th, 22. Oh,
Here's
there's
Monica.
Monica Heupel.
Morning.
Good morning.
Confirmation of proper notice.
Yes, it was posted last week on the
Yep.
3rd.
Roll call, we don't really need, we know what we got.
That's right.
With all four of us.
Tom,
here.
Pat, yep. Tom, Pat,
All right,
Steve,
chairman's
and Monica.
comments. I really don't have a whole lot of comments. Today's meeting should be fairly short. I don't think we have a lot of pressing.
No, we have the annual meeting coming up where you'll
Yeah.
probably render a report.
Already done. Review of the minutes. There we go. And we got a couple changes there. Pat was here. Gonna amend that.
Mhm.
And the next scheduled meeting is not the 21st of March.
It's the 7th.
It's the 7th.
So we'll,
How
all
about
Move to
April?
approve as amended.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
get to that.
right, Tom brought,
You're
Tom,
talking about,
Well, I'm talking about the
yeah,
minutes.
okay.
Said we were gonna meet on the 21st.
Monica, let me give you one of these.
Thank you.
One of these. Did it on both sides of the paper. We're saving money this time.
That's it.
Uh,
I did that on my taxes, and you know what the guy did?
You didn't see it.
He didn't see the back of page 2.
Who the heck mails in their taxes?
I didn't know, I was at his office,
Oh,
but he flipped the papers and didn't look at the back. Anyways, that's another
I
story.
just back up the Brinks truck and have a dump. No, doesn't happen that.
All right, how we doing
So
on?
Tom made a motion to accept the minutes as amended. We need a second.
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Yeah.
No opposed? Okay. All right, minutes are accepted. All right, our slab renovations. All right, go ahead. John.
May I? May I?
Yep, you may.
Very disappointing quote. As you recall, we had the gentleman at the last meeting that talked to us about a cementitious material to use on the top of the slabs. He thought it could be reasonable. He thought it would save us money. And he quoted us a thought price of somewhere about $9 a square foot to apply. Subsequent to that meeting, Steve and I met with the contractor who came out and talked a very good game, talked about how we could do the job, talked about the material being exactly what we thought about, and talked about evening the levels so the water would flow to the scuppers and everything else, and seemed to be right in line. Until he sent us a quote that was really over $1,932 a slab. And they're only 54 square feet in the slab.
Yeah.
So I called him up and I would talk to him and he says, well, don't forget, I gotta come out, I gotta do so many at a time. I got a setup charge before you're over. Steve and I just figured, well, no. Now, we have tried a paint that is a waterproofing paint. Steve's familiar with it. You can talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, I used it on my sidewalk. It's a real thick, syrupy mixture. It has a nice, real grit in it. And it actually almost matches our fences perfectly in the color.
Hmm.
I have it on my front sidewalk. It's been down for at least 5 years. The only cut in it I have is when they were putting my windows in, they set one of the window frames down and they, just cut through it a little bit. But I was able to put some paint on top of it and it resealed it. So we were thinking, have the regular, what's his name? Our guy. Lee come in and do his thing underneath, prepare the surface, and then we could take that paint and just paint it and put a thick bead in the corner and in a crack and maybe come up the wall a little bit, maybe an inch.
So that you have that slope.
Well, so we have the seal
Yeah.
next to the building, so that's where our water problem was, getting down in. And I think this is thick enough and syrupy enough, we can get enough where it'll stop any water going down there.
Now, which concrete next to the buildings are you talking about?
Here's your slab,
The slab,
here's the
second
wall, the
floor.
wall under
Oh,
the
You're
window.
talking about the second floor.
Yeah, second
Yes,
floor, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, the wall.
The
is
wall
here and
under the window
deck is
is
here.
where
Yeah.
you
That
could almost
crack
treat it like a
is where
parapet
we
wall.
get the water.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Is
going, oh.
Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Is that what they're using now in the garages up north? To
Close.
keep,
Oh, that
It-
really kind of paint?
yeah.
That could be.
it's real thick,
Yeah,
so
it's
you know,
real
when you
thick,
pull
it's
in
a-
with snow and crap and so your cement floor
Probably
doesn't
similar
get
to
ruined.
that.
Yeah,
Very similar.
okay.
So going back to the concrete, is there any way that we can either find a different contractor or have somebody else supply it?
This, from what we gather, in talking to the Florida paint man who came make the presentation, this is like the main man.
And
If
this
you're gonna
is-
do
And,
it.
and
This
the
was
least,
their thing.
Yeah,
is
this
how
was their
they
thing
do
and
it.
this was his contractor
Um,
that he said that he's the only one he could recommend that uses it on a regular basis and does it right.
So you have 3 scheduled or 4 or 5 scheduled to go.
We have 4 scheduled to go. One of which is being supported currently
Okay,
with the upright, with a
4x4.
4x, yeah,
so this would be a much less expensive way to
Yes.
go, number 1.
yes.
Number 2, if you are able to seal that so that the water can't get through, you do these and see how it wears for a month or 2? Or would you want to just continue on and,
All right, well, that's a good point, because it dovetails into what I was gonna say.
okay,
Okay. Number one, Steve has been able to use this product and for 4 or 5 years, so it's pretty good, walking on it constantly.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's in and out of his front door.
Yep.
So that's pretty good. Number 2, I can't see this cementitious thing being applied reasonably. We were looking to think it was going to be much more reasonable and get under this $5,000 a slab.
right.
I think if we use the paint, we can easily save a couple $1,000
Per.
easily.
You're
Because-
talking about
Per.
per.
Yeah,
Per.
and then
Per
what I
unit,
forgot to
okay.
do, say one thing. I called up our contractor and asked him what it cost to put the cement, not the cementitious, but the membrane down.
Yeah.
And he said about 2,200. So it turns out to be the same
Well,
as this.
well,
Yeah.
same price.
So we could save close, say $1,500 to $200 to $2,000 by
Per.
going with it per job.
Yeah.
Which would allow us to do, instead of 20 this year, maybe 35.
Right,
Okay,
getting closer to getting the project. done.
Getting, yeah. So that's the good part. And Steve's material, even the Florida paint guy said, yes, this is something as an alternative.
And since this
Yeah.
is Steve's material,
Yeah.
Steve is volunteering his time to paint it on,
To
right?
paint it, and-
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And if it
Then I
doesn't
would
work,
be all for that, yeah.
well, you know what the thing is too, you can always, you know, once we have that paint on hand, we can always go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and-
If there was an
that's right.
issue,
and
yeah,
fix
Yeah, you
issues
buy it
that
at what,
we
at
have.
Lowe's?
Yeah,
yeah, you buy it at Lowe's
Buy it at
Yeah.
Lowe's. But
or Home Depot.
now there's always a but, unfortunately.
what's the bug?
I have been pushing Lee, our contractor, to get these things started since 20th of January. As late as this morning, I talked to him. I said, Lee, where are you? He said, nobody can find help.
Yeah.
He said he's behind. We have, subsequently, we have another issue in 593, I think it is, where the lintel above the sliding glass doors in the back has dropped and they can't move their sliders.
Hmm,
Lee Rapasi is taking that job on for us because it needs a permit. And he has an architect drawing on the plans, and he said he'll get on that one almost immediately. But until he finishes a job that he has before where he can't get help, he can't start us on ours. Maybe we should start looking.
That,
I don't know who, where, but we've always come up with something, so I think we have to maybe look at an alternative.
I would agree.
Yeah.
and this is work that's being done during the day.
You're looking at a at a body. At
Yeah,
this
well, yeah,
point
we're
in
looking
time.
for some, I mean, we
Another
can't get cement
contractor.
work done because he can't find any help. He can't get any product. We've got a wall to worry about behind 269. A whole wall has been moved by a tree that the owner took out now, and the wall is still leaning. The contractor says he'll be here, but he got to finish his job on Siesta Key. It's going to be close to
Yeah.
$4,000, and he can't get block. I mean, this is
Yeah.
like ridiculous. We're
Yeah.
sitting here
Yeah.
spinning our wheels.
Do you need how should I say? Can this be taught to somebody, or do you need a skilled labor to do?
No,
Yeah.
you need a professional, because what we're doing here is opening up the bottom, looking at all the supports, support columns, the support bridges, the metal.
So you need a skilled labor.
You need
in other
somebody who
words.
knows
Need somebody
what they're
else that- what
Yeah,
they're
and
doing.
as part of this is re-leveling the slab so the water runs off and doesn't retain. So it's more than just a Joe with a pick and shovel. But Joe's not a bad guy, but he's not around. That's the problem. Nobody has help. All kidding aside.
Please, I know we went to a restaurant on Friday for 3 hours service for food. Thank God there were a lot of us and we were having a good time yakking and talking, but that's because the only,
No.
So what options do we
Have
have
waiters.
then? If he's having trouble finding help,
He won't give me a start date other than it'd be about 30 days.
Yeah, he can't.
out.
No,
Yeah.
You can't. You can't. So I think we should at least start looking. He is gonna take care of the one issue
With the sliders.
with the sliders, because that's really important,
Yeah.
because that lentil, we've had that elsewhere.
Yeah,
So that's taken care of. But the other,
John, may I ask?
yes,
That's the unit under Sylvain and Louise, right? Just a couple doors down from me.
it's the gooey, GUIs.
They
They-
just bought
Yeah, they-
that place.
That's correct.
And Nancy, who lived there before, I don't think ever opened those sliders. So those
Right.
sliders probably haven't been opened in 15, 20 years.
I think we're talking about the same unit. Yes, Chris. And that has to be done. I mean, structurally and everything else. And the good news is we got a commitment on that. Okay. The tough news is we don't have a commitment on the others that we want to get forward, because we've got, we've got 141. We've only done 37. Anyway, even my math says we got 104 to
are
do.
there any emergency ones to have done?
We got two
Yeah.
that are really hot.
Okay,
But they
And I
are,
say four,
they're
but two that
supported.
are really hot.
yeah,
We've got supports in them, so they're not gonna fall
they're not gonna
down,
fall down.
no.
but we
it's good,
jacked it up
yeah.
and we've got supports.
Before you
Okay.
get into the rainy season too.
This is I would hope that we would have had 8 or 9 of them done
Yeah.
by now, because we got the money.
so what's the question then? I mean, I would be for using the paint that
Yeah,
you're
it's just a
suggesting.
matter of waiting till Lee
And
gets,
then you've either got to wait for Lee or you got to try to
Get
find
somebody
somebody
else.
that Lee can't find.
Right.
And
Yeah,
not knowing what
that-
their
yeah.
capabilities really are.
That's right.
Is there anybody on
Unfortunately, we had,
staff?
it doesn't matter, but we had a guy named John Ellsbury who did this for us. He did the first 15 and he died. Darn guy just went off and died on us.
Excuse
how-
me, you mean
Unacceptable.
physically?
Unacceptable.
You mean
You know?
physically
Yes, yes,
left this earth?
yes, he did.
Oh, well,
I mean, I
rest,
worked with him for 25 years.
rest
Is
in
there
peace.
some
Oh,
other
my
definition
goodness.
died?
I'm not gonna volunteer then.
But all kidding aside, he did the job, he did this, and he did it for like almost 3/4 of what Lee was charging. But times are different now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that we ought to, at least we, meaning me, and maybe in concert with you, and or anybody who wants to be with us, try to find somebody else to come out and show them what we need to do. There's got to be other contractors
Oh,
out
I'm
there.
sure. Do we
Yeah.
have anybody on staff
That
that you
can't do
could
this.
maybe
Well,
replace?
John does temporary work for it. He's capable, but we've got so many things for him to do that the regular work gets behind.
Well.
I
Yeah,
mean, John
that's heavy work for
John
John.
actually showed John Ellsbury how to do it, and John Ellsbury took over and did it. John actually showed Lee what we need to do. but he's not capable of both his age and his everything else to get up and do the
But the
job.
main thing is it would take him away from his day job,
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is,
which is trying to get everything else done, you know.
Yeah,
But if you find somebody who's capable, if somebody can show them what to do,
Well, you need a,
You still need a skilled
you need a-
contractor.
the average number of people on this job is 3 to 4 people. From what they do, between the
Okay.
supports and the hammering and the
Okay.
figuring and everything else. So you almost need a company.
okay,
So I think we leave it with push Lee as hard as we can.
Mhm.
In the interim, try to find somebody that may be capable of doing this.
Yep.
Okay.
And I mean, gotta believe there's somebody out there, but prices and help are gonna dictate going up. No question. As we
Well, the
know,
good news is if we save 1,500, 2,000, if it does go up, we're
Yeah.
still,
yeah,
Yeah,
and we're not
question.
talking about heavy duty materials.
Yeah.
We're talking about supports and bolts and things
Yeah.
like that.
leveling.
Yeah, and leveling.
well, can we pay a premium price for getting these 4 done that are emergencies?
Having,
I-
well.
We still gotta find somebody to
we
do
said-
it.
You still have to find somebody to do it.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, I mean, that's it. We got to find somebody to do it. And Lee said he's got a contract that he's 3/4 of the way in down at Vizcaya.
Okay,
And he's doing almost the same thing. He's supporting balconies.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he knows what he's doing.
great.
Chris,
All
you know any good contractors?
I'm afraid not. Most of the ones that are out there are busy, so it's hard to find.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a company called Mr. Build that's been around for a very, very long time. And a couple of our owners have used them to put in knee walls and windows and things like that. And I went to one of them and I said, would you consider talking to Mr. Build? And this happened to be our board member, Cookie. And she said, no. He said that there was nothing but delays. There were leak fixes that went on forever. And so, I mean, that's one of the first ones I would have thought to try to because they've been around forever. But that doesn't make it right, and so when you can't get a good reference, why bother?
yeah, I agree. I will ask around. I have a daughter-in-law who is the wedding coordinator at the beach house,
Oh, nice.
and she's been there for 12 years. And she knows all of the staff working there, and some of them
Somebody
just
might know.
work nights, because
Yeah,
that's their money, and they are available during the day. And some of them are skilled.
Well, there has to be somebody there doesn't have to be, but you would
Yeah.
think there's somebody out there we could talk to at least to get a price.
Yeah,
I know a guy who knows a lot of people here in Bradenton.
Yeah.
Let me check with him.
yeah,
Okay,
it's the best
All
thing
right.
to do.
Let's
Yeah.
just see
So
if
we
we
can
can
move
check
on.
around.
we can move on. Lee may get lucky and finish and start, but he's going to take care of our one big bad issue for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
all right, moving along. Flooring, we don't really
Okay.
have anything new on that.
Well,
We're
other
just-
than the fact that the company that said they were going to install the flooring has come out and measured the 811, wherever it's going to be put in. She went over there and picked things up. It's supposed to happen almost concurrent.
Okay,
So there's an update there.
Okay,
and when that happens, we'll check it out.
Check it out.
I'd
and-
like, board members, committee members,
Well, I think
residents.
as
Yeah.
chairman, I would designate one of your able volunteers on the committee to devise a test for the length of time and work with
Has anybody talked to the person downstairs?
the person downstairs knows it's coming.
Oh, clogging group or
Yeah,
a
yeah, that's
tap
right.
dancing group?
Yeah, we need,
that's
well, we
a-
need
that's a
people
Geico
upstairs and
commercial.
Oh, yeah.
downstairs, and then we need to switch them
yeah,
so that everybody gets both, the underneath
Yeah.
effect.
I'm looking forward to be very positive. I find it very hard to believe that somebody would volunteer putting into the floor. I don't know what it costs, $700-800 minimum, probably.
Minimum.
Put it in if he doesn't feel good about it.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
Although
Um,
they're-
Chris,
Yeah, Steve, I offered or mentioned at the last board meeting that if you would like to do a survey of upper owners or lower owners, we could put one together. I just did a couple of filters on our email list, and that's a thing on everybody's profile, which not everybody checks. So there are a bunch of them that I'd have to go in and fill out. But I think I had over 100 lower unit people, which would, I think it'd be the 140, but only about 78 or 9 upper unit. But I could go through those and get those filled in. I know whether, what units are upper and which ones are lower. And if you wanted to design some sort of a survey for upper and a different survey for lower, I'd be happy to help you do that.
Okay, that'll work.
That's
Yeah, I'd
great,
just
yeah.
like to get a lot of lower unit people so they listen and get their opinions. I mean, the upper unit, everybody in the upper units wants it. So,
Well, that's the
think
thing.
it's the
I'm not,
lower unit that will work.
I guess one of the things you might want to ask upper units, if they'll tell you what kind of flooring do they have now? Because we don't have I don't think you have a real good handle on how many different kinds of floors there are in upper units.
Mhm. Okay,
well, I think I have to ask anyway. I think you're right. I mean, have something like, please fill in,
Question
living room,
mark,
living room, bedroom flooring, and,
Yeah.
that's primarily what we want to know, because everything else is going to be hard.
Right.
There's going to, the kitchens and the bathrooms and the
Right.
lanais are going to
Yeah.
have carpeting.
Yeah, and I would probably preface anything, any email by saying that, we're not here to find out and take your flooring out. We just want to know information of what kind of flooring you have.
Doing the
Okay.
survey.
all right.
I think it's
that'd
a
be
valid
great.
question to ask, yes.
That'd be great, Chris, if you can do that.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll run it by you guys before I send anything out.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And then obviously we'll let everybody know as soon as we get this installation.
Yeah. Okay, moving along. EV connection update. Any
Well, it's
update
kind of a
on-
leftover, but I don't know if you noticed, but I sent the board in a packet that Florida Power and Light is starting to come up with charging stations. You got it in your last
Yeah.
board packet. And we have only one person that has gotten a car recently. And it just happens to be where he lives. He can back right up to almost his front, and he's charging it without
Okay.
doing anything, and he's not impacting anybody.
No, he's putting a caution sign
Yeah,
over the
putting a
court,
caution
one of the
sign over
floor.
the court, but
front
it's
floor.
like where practically nobody walks. But that's gonna be the future is not gonna,
Yeah.
everybody's not gonna have that.
Yeah.
No,
We have designed what we've said we would do. The electrician has said that he was gonna try to see if he could go to the manufacturer to see if he could come up with some way to come off that front,
Off the front, yeah.
that the county wouldn't let him do it, as you recall.
Yeah.
But
Not
he
just
thought there
connect
was a
right in.
different way. Matter of fact, maybe we could even call him. Maggie? Maggie,
Yes.
can you give me Rick Johnson's text?
Yeah.
Please, maybe we'll call him and see.
when you say Florida Power and Light is trying to put in charging stations,
Yes.
those charging stations, you have to pay to charge.
No.
Yeah.
I'm talking, they're coming up with a program for individuals.
Okay, because
Yeah.
what about the charging stations that are out there, like service stations?
Oh.
You have to pay.
Yes.
with a
Thank you,
credit
I'm
card?
sorry.
You're gonna pay for this one too. You're gonna pay for all the labor and the installation and the
But-
parts.
Well,
She's
my-
talked about paying for usage.
My question is, if we put some charging stations in
Where?
areas like here, people charge overnight, there's nobody in the parking lot, and use a credit card and then pay for them charging their cars at night. Right now, we have what, one or two.
Unfortunately, Monica, we said no to that quite a while ago.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That way we
Yeah.
can make a little extra money.
But that's true, but we also can't have cars parking there overnight.
Why not?
Because how do you decide who's gonna park there? Is it first come, first serve? Are they parked there 24 hours a day? If they need a 2-hour charge,
No, they would,
Yeah.
she's talking about right out front.
yeah,
here.
I know
talking
what
right
she's
out
talking
here.
And
about.
then
Yes.
they gotta be out of there by 7 to get
Yes.
Yeah.
the workers.
Yeah. The, you
That would
know,
be-
only charging from a certain time to a certain time. Put in your credit card?
Nuts.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Rick Johnson.
Is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Morning, Rick, John Haggerty. If you could call me back ASAP, I'd appreciate it. I have some questions. 941-518-5778. Thank you.
I like those messages, short and
Sweet and
the
to the
point.
point.
Yeah.
So, all right, so there's nothing really going on there now, but there's gonna be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
So
mean, it's
the
gonna
only-
happen.
The only way I would find that acceptable is if they're charged, not necessarily for usage, but for time. So if they're parked there for 20 hours, they get a 20-hour charge. They get charged for
well,
20
you know
hours
what,
of being.
It's really
I
gonna
would think if
be hard
people
to
charging their
regulate.
cars, they're not gonna leave them there for 20 hours. They won't be able to drive anywhere.
But they almost have to see it is really complicated because if you put in a normal 110 trickle charge, they only get about what, 4 hours worth of driving? No, not that. I mean, 40 miles.
it
My
depends
daughter
on the
would-
car.
Yeah.
and- Yeah,
Yeah,
Because my daughter had one of the first Fords that came out and she plugged it in the garage
mhm.
right next to all
Yeah,
that
no,
lawn.
Well, that's what we designed here.
Yeah.
We designed to come out underneath the sidewalk and to have a small post right by the parking spot. And that's what the committee designed, the board approved. But nobody's done it yet.
Because you don't really have enough
Right,
electric vehicles,
sooner or later.
right now, but I'm assuming that that's going to be the trend.
Yeah, I do too. It's interesting though, because at least my vehicles and I had mine in for oil change and what have you last week, and the new ones are coming out. Cadillac is coming out with an SUV that's really good looking
Mhm.
car that's electric. And I said to the service writer, I said, what do you think? And she said, not the first year, I wouldn't.
yeah.
No, because, yeah, it's with
They
everything
gotta get the
else.
kinks out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's interesting. So
And
it's
a lot
coming,
of
but
them
it
are
isn't.
not long range driving.
No,
Right.
But they're
And before
city,
you have to,
they're city. basically,
500
yeah.
is the most
right,
anybody's pushed.
it would take me 6 days to get down here. you know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
that's
no.
right. That's right.
Hey,
You know,
I
it-
can get but 400 miles out of my car, so.
But then you
500
pull into a
miles-
gas
Yeah, but
station
you
for
pull into
15
the gas
minutes,
station.
or 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and you go on. You don't have to. pull
But
into a
how
gas
long
station
does it take?
for 8
That-
hours.
That's something they have to improve. The charging has to be much quicker
Well,
too.
it depends on the
Yeah.
voltage. It depends on so many
Yeah.
things. And it's the way of the future. There's no question about that. But like I go down to visit my daughter in Miami, it's 3 hours and it's just about 300 miles and that's the max on most of the cars now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd be down there and I couldn't drive around for a while. It's, wow.
I
So
get
don't-
425 miles out of my.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
that's
a
great.
Honda.
Okay,
All right.
so be
All
it.
right, so be it on that. Okay,
Committee comments.
committee comments, anybody?
The wrong committee to make my comments. I have to come back for the plant.
We've got no owners, Chris?
No, we don't, Steve.
All right, no owners comment, next meeting, all right. Here we
March
go.
21st.
We did have that down, didn't we?
That would be good because I'm going to be gone in 4 months. But
Are
I
you,
can do Zoom.
are you going back to Europe,
Let's
No,
go into April. Where are you?
Colorado?
no. Detroit,
Okay.
Detroit City.
How about April, what? You want to do it early again?
Might as
Sixth?
well.
Want to do
Well,
Do it, do
the
it.
6th is a Wednesday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
do it-
what's
do
it?
Wednesday's golf day.
Do Monday following.
The 11th.
The 11th? We could do that.
We can do
I'll
that.
be here for
That's
that.
just about a
I'll be
month from
gone.
now.
I'm
Already?
pretty sure I'll be gone.
Already?
I have to go to work. so
Oh.
I can-
You know
Stay
what?
here.
I can always do a Zoom.
Didn't know you were still
I-
indentured like
Yeah.
some of us.
You can be work in Michigan.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right, we look at the 11th?
Yeah.
All right, that'll work.
So that's.
10
April.
o'clock?
Yeah,
Yep.
How can that be
10 a.m.,
April?
okay.
You'll have a hangover from the big party on the 9th.
That's on Saturday.
Yeah,
I
I-
hope he can wear it off.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's
Age
Steve.
is pretty vicious about
Yeah,
that.
We'll
that's
give you
right.
some ginseng.
I played pickleball on Sunday and sweat it all
Swell it
out,
out.
okay? We good? All right, the 11th. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
So moved.
seconded.
Seconded. We're done. Thank you. Thank you, Chris.